Hey everybody, welcome to day 8 of the 12 days of Cricut Christmas Crafts with Debbie O'Neill. So happy to have you with me again. Hopefully you've watched the other days and there's still a few more days coming. So today's project is going to be working with Patterned Iron On and also some Glitter Iron On, and we'll be using the Cricut Easy Press. I'm going to go through the entire step-by-step process with you guys on how to design, cut the patterned iron on and the glitter iron on, how to weed it, how to use the heat press to adhere it to your shirt, and tips along the way. So let's get started. Okay, let's talk about the supplies that you're going to need for this project. Now, of course, you'll need whatever it is that you're going to be ironing onto. I'm going to use this t-shirt because it's for my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter, so I'm going to be using that. But I will be working with the Cricut Patterned Iron On, and the Cricut Patterned Iron On comes in a whole bunch of different colors and patterns. It generally comes in a set of 3 different patterns, and each pattern sheet is 12 by 17, so you get quite a bit of material to be able to work with. And you want to make sure that you just pick the patterns that work best for your particular project and the size of the image that you're going to be using. Okay, so the one that I picked from this roll that I'm going to be using is this adorable red and white stripe that I'm going to cut the heart out of. Okay, and Patterned Iron On and the Glitter Iron On, I'm going to be using the gold Cricut Glitter Iron On. Both of these, when you look at them, both of them have a plastic lining. Okay, that plastic lining is what they call the carrier sheet in the heat transfer world, and what it means is that you don't have to add any additional transfer tape like you would if you were working with regular vinyl. Okay, so it already has it on there, and this is what you're going to be putting your heat against. Is this, you have the pattern iron on. The front of it is the pretty color, and that's going to have the clear plastic, and look how shiny that looks. When you flip it over with the pattern iron on, it'll look kind of, just whitish, and you'll see a little bit of the pattern, but you'll know because it's kind of gritty. It has kind of a gritty feel to it because that is where the adhesive is on this, on the iron on. Okay, and this is the part that is going to be adhered to the shirt, will be this part. Okay, and we're going to talk about how to put that on your mat here in a minute. But the same thing with the glitter iron on, same thing. It's got this protective plastic coating. Now it will feel thicker with the glitter iron on than it does with the pattern iron on. That's perfectly normal. Don't get confused about that. This just has a thicker carrier liner on it, basically, because of the glitter material. Okay, there again, it's pretty on one side where the carrier sheet is, and on the back of it, it's just kind of a muted color, and you don't see the pretty side. All right, you will also need a weeding tool, and you will need a little pair of scissors, and of course you're going to need a mat, and I recommend the light grip mat, but you want one that's a fresh light grip mat, one that you haven't, maybe a new one, or you haven't used too much on, because you want to make sure that your iron on sticks well to this, and I'm going to show you how to apply it here in just a minute. But you'll need that, and then of course you're going to need your heat source. So I'm going to be using the Cricut Easy Press 2. This is the small, the 6x7 size, and I'm going to be using a Cricut Easy Press mat. Now you can use a household iron that is dry. That means it has no water in it, the steam's not on. You can do that. There's different settings and design in CricutHelp.com for when you work with iron on that will let you know what settings to put your iron on for that particular material. And then there's an interactive guide for the Easy Press, and I'm going to show you that as well. And then for the Easy Press mat, you can use that with an iron and with the Easy Press, okay? Or if you don't have either one of these and you're going to be using a household iron, you need to use a big folded fluffy towel, and you want to make sure you have a nice hard surface. You can't do this on top of a ironing board or anything like that. It's because it's too padded, and it's not going to help reflect the heat, and it's not going to give you enough pressure for you to get that to adhere really well. Okay, so those are just a few success tips. Okay, so let's talk about designing to put on a t-shirt. once again, I'm going to talk about using the template. So in your left-hand panel over here, we're going to click templates, and there's all these templates in here. Now, templates are just an idea of what your project will go on. So I'm going to look for the t-shirt templates, and I am actually using a shirt that looks, it's a raglan shirt. It looks similar to a baseball shirt. So this is probably the one I'm going to use, but you can see that there's other shirt styles in here, so you can kind of go through and pick, like there's a fitted polo shirt, there's a bunch of different shirts depending upon what you're going to use. But for my purposes today, I'm going to use the baseball shirt. Okay, so it's going to pop up here, and up at the top here you can go in and tell it that I am making a shirt, a 3/4 sleeve shirt for a child, so I'm going to pick kids. And then you can also pick what size it is. So my shirt is for a small youth size, so I'm going to just leave it on small, but you could, you know, pick, you can customize it, you can pick whatever size you want, but I'm just going to leave mine on small. Okay, and then now I have the design that I can work with, and down here in your left hand corner is your zoom. So I'm going to increase the zoom just to 50% to give us an idea of what we're looking at here. And then now I need to have fun and come up with a design. So I want my shirt to say I love Santa, and I'm going to work with a heart, and I'm just going to go to the shapes and come up with the heart in the underneath the basic shapes. And I'm going to size this till I get the heart to about the size that I want it. And I'm thinking probably close to a 4-inch size would be perfect. So I'm just going to type in 4 inches. Okay, now the heart is going to be what I cut out of the Patterned Iron On. So today we'll be working with Patterned Iron On, and we're also going to work with some Glitter Iron On. Both of those are a little bit different to work with, and I want to make sure that you know how to use them. And so I'm starting with the heart because I want it to say I heart Santa, basically. All right, so I'm going to come over here to images, and I'm going to search for the word Santa, just to give me an idea if there's any Santa fonts out here that I like, that it's the words already put together. So this will come in as an image. You could pick any Santa word that you like, but I like this one because it looks kind of like kids' handwriting. So I'm going to pick this one and add it to my mat. Okay, so there's a word. Now this could be another image. It could be kind of, you know, whatever we think we want it to be. And I think I want it about 2.5 inches tall. Yeah, that looks like it's going to work. And I'm going to be laying this over the edge of the Patterned Iron On. Now with the Patterned Iron On, you can adhere other, you can put Patterned Iron On top of regular Iron On. You can put Patterned Iron On by itself onto the shirt directly, and you can put, but you cannot put Patterned Iron On top of Glitter Iron On because it just won't stick. Glitter Iron On is a different animal, and you cannot layer it with other images on top of the glitter. You would have to put the glitter on top of any other iron-on that you're doing. So today I'm going to be using, my shirt is red sleeves and it's a black base. Okay, so my Santa, I want to turn that into, I'm going to use gold iron-on, glitter iron-on for that, and then I'll make the heart red, and that's just giving me an idea of what this is going to look like. And then I want to come over here and I need to add an I. And so I'm going to come over here to text and I'm going to type in a capital I because that's what I want it to be. And I'm just going to pull one up here. And I know I want it about 2 inches probably. Okay, but I really don't like the style of that I. This is just the Cricut Sans font, so I want to search for a font that I like better. So I'm going to come over here to fonts. I'm going to click that, and now I have a bunch of fonts, right? So I can look at all my fonts that I have. I can look at just my system fonts, which the system fonts are the fonts that that are on your computer that you've either uploaded to Design Space from different sites, or I can look for just Cricut fonts. So I'm going to pick Cricut fonts, and now I want to kind of go through. I'm going to start at the top and just kind of go through, and I can look at the preview of what the letters look like to see if I find a font that I think is going to fit what I would like it to look like. And I'm kind of looking for something that looks a little more childlike. I kind of like this. Let me see what the eye looks like. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so I wanted one that had the top, the header and the foot on it, on the eye, instead of it just being a straight line. And so I'm going to kind of make this a little bit bigger. And when I'm looking at the weight of this letter or the width of it, it's a little bit thinner than I would want, but guess what? I can change that. So I'm going to unlock my eye, and I'm just going to pull it over slightly to the right, and see how I'm making it a little bit wider here. And I'm going to put that back on, and now it's about the same width as my other letters, so that works out great. And I'm just going to put that right there. And now I have my design done. I'm going to change it to gold just to make sure that's what it looks like. Okay, so the gold's going to be the gold Cricut Glitter Iron On, and then the red will be the Patterned Iron On that I picked. All right, so now we've got our shirt design. Let's move to the next step. Okay, now that we have our image sized in Design Space, now it's time to go to the cutting process. And there's some things about working with iron-on that you need to know, and I'm going to walk you through those steps so that we have a successful project. All right, so let's hit the Make It button. And now you are on the Design Space cutting screen. Now, since we used an image for the word Santa, it's all one piece here on here, okay? But we added that eye. So the eye, I'm going to move it over just a little bit. See how I'm just grabbing it with my cursor and moving it over? When you're at the Design Space cut screen, you can move your images around on your mat and they will stay in that position. So if you ever need to, maybe you decide you're going to use a scrap of material, you don't need to put a whole sheet up there, and it makes more sense for your image to go like this because of the size of piece that you have to cut it out of. That is perfectly fine. You can just move it right here. Okay, so I'm going to leave mine just like this. And then the next thing we need to talk about is that with the Patterned Iron On or any Cricut Iron On, you need to mirror your image, because the pretty side of the Iron On has a protective, what they call a carrier sheet, that is what we're going to be using our heat against. And so you're going to be flipping your image over and cutting from the back side. So you want to mirror your image so that it comes out correctly. So I'm going to hit on this one right here, it says mirror. I'm going to mirror that one. Okay, so see how it flipped it? All right, and then you would do that for each of the cuts depending upon the project you're working on. For this particular project, we just have those two mats. But I'm going to go ahead, just as a best practice, go ahead and mirror this. Even though it's just a heart, it should be similar. But just best practice, when I'm working with Iron On, I always mirror all the images that will be cut out of Iron On. That way I don't forget to do it. All right, so we're going to go back up here to the cut screen, and now we're going to cut out our material. But first I'm going to show you what that looks like putting it on your Cricut mat so you know that you're doing it correctly. Here is the mat. Okay, so I'm going to take my liner off my mat. And here is the Patterned Iron On, and I already talked about that this was the pretty side, and it's already got the shiny carrier sheet on it. You're going to flip this over and put it
with the liner side, if you hear people talk about that, liner side down, that's what they're talking about. You're going to put that, the pretty side down or the shiny liner side down. You'll hear people tell you that. And then this is how you're going to put it on your mat and feed it through your Cricut. Now in Design Space, I'm going to show you how we mirror this, our image, so that it's going to cut it out backwards on this, so that when you go to iron it on, the pretty side will be facing up, and that shiny carrier sheet is going to be what's going to protect your surface, and that's where you're going to be applying your heat. So that's how you put it on your mat, and we're going to go ahead and get this cut out.
Okay, so now that we know how to put our material on our mat, now we're going to cut it out. So to cut the iron-on out, make sure everything looks mirrored when you go to do it. Then you're going to click continue down here. And of course it's going to ask you which Cricut machine you're using. Make sure your machine's always on before you get to this point so that it will connect. And then you're going to need to set your material. So with the patterned iron-on or the different types of iron-on, like the glitter iron-on that we're going to be using for this project, or any iron-on product, you're going to need to select that particular iron-on in the material setting. So I'm going to come over here to Browse. And I'm going to go down to, it's not under vinyl, it is under iron-on. So you want to come down to iron-on. There's the iron-on, and here's all the different types of iron-on that Cricut has. If it's a Cricut brand, it'll be the Cricut brand name, and it'll have the little C next to it, and you'll know that those are for the Cricut. So with the patterned iron-on, you'll see it right here. I'm going to click on that. And then when I go to do the glitter iron-on, I'm going to use the glitter iron-on setting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut the glitter iron-on out first because it's up first in the design screen mat. So I'm going to click done. And now it's on the iron-on setting. Now it actually, in Design Space, it reminds you, make sure mirror is turned on and iron-on material is face shiny side down on the mat. So Cricut even reminds you there. Okay, so hopefully it's a little more foolproof. You'll just use your regular fine tip blade that came in your Cricut machine, and then once you're to this point, you're just going to hit load the mat on your machine and go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so now that we've cut out the glitter iron-on, now it's moved on to the next piece, which is our heart, and our heart is what we're cutting out of the patterned iron-on. So I need to change my material setting from glitter iron-on to patterned iron-on, and I just need to click on this and scroll down to iron-on again. Okay, and now I'm not going to use glitter iron-on. I want to find where it says patterned iron-on. Okay, and I'm going to click done, and it's going to change the material setting. Now if you are using a Cricut Explore machine, you will turn the dial on the machine, put it on custom setting, and then be able to see the drop down list as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and it's going to cut the patterned iron-on. Okay, then once it's finished cutting, you're just going to hit finish, and it'll take you back to your screen. Now I did want to let you know that there is in Cricut Help at help.cricut.com, you can put in the little search window patterned iron-on, and it gives you the cutting and application instructions so that if you forget and need to refresh yourself, you can always go out there, and there's very good instructions. And then there's also instructions for if you're going to be using a household iron. It lets you know what settings for an iron to be able to use. Okay, so if you're working with an iron, you'll need to look at that. Now I'm going to be using the Easy Press, so there is an Easy Press interactive guide that when we go to use the Easy Press, we're going to use this. So I will be using my iron-on material. So let's say I'm going to come down here, I'm going to pick patterned iron-on because I'm going to put that on first, and then the base material is going to be, I have a cotton poly blend shirt that I'm using, so I'm going to pick my base material, and then I'm going to be using a Cricut Easy Press mat. Okay, and then voila, it pops up and it says, it gives you some information here about what setting you need to have it on depending upon what you're using, and this will change depending upon what material and what base material you're using and what application you're using. So this is going to say set temp at 340. You're going to preheat the object for 5 seconds. You're going to apply the heat with a firm pressure and for about 50 seconds, and then you're going to flip the material over and you're going to press on the back side for about 15 seconds. And then for the patterned iron-on, it's a cold peel. Okay, and I'll talk about that when we do it. And then it lets you know, allow 24 hours after application before washing, wash and dry inside out, and do not bleach it. That's going to be true for any pattern iron-on that you use. They're going to recommend you turn it inside out. Even when you buy t-shirts that have that sublimation printing on it, they're going to tell you the same thing. Okay, so you're going to notice if I go over here to Glitter Iron On, I'm doing it on that same shirt, but it's going to change it and let me know that I need to do that one at 330. And I'm going to use a gentle pressure for only 30 seconds. So this chart will let you know all of those things that you need to know. So it's really handy. And then this lets me know that the Glitter Iron On is a warm peel. Okay. There's also a chart that you can print out. The interactive chart's nice if you're, at your computer. And then right here, if you want to download the reference guide, you can hit the download button and it's going to come up with, I'll just show you, it's going to come up with this chart that you can print out. Easy Press with the Easy Press mat, and it has the Easy Press if you're using a folded over towel. And then if you want the iron-on directions, you can look up for the iron-on to use a household iron. So those are very handy. And now we're going to go back and weed our vinyl and get ready to heat it up.
Okay, now we're going to see where the heart is cut out on the pattern iron-on, and you're going to have to, it's hard to see it on camera, but I can see where the heart is. So I'm going to just go ahead and trim the excess away so I can save the rest of that for using on another project. So I'm going to set that off to the side, and then I'm going to take this and I want to weed away the line, the pattern iron-on that I'm not going to be using. That's what weeding means. You're taking away the excess. Okay, so now I have the pattern iron-on. There we go. Looks cute. And the carrier sheet is on the top. Okay, it's still the plastic side, and this is the back side, and then we're going to apply this onto our shirt. I am going to go ahead and cut away. I like to kind of cut around the outside of my carrier sheet just because it makes it a little bit easier for placement. Just leaving a little border around it so I have a place to grip it to remove it. But I'm just going to do it like this. If you can see that, okay. And then I'm going to weed my words for my I Love Santa. The I in the Santa. So I'm going to peel that up, and then I'm just going to pull this away. Now, your glitter iron-on is on a heavier carrier sheet, and you're going to be able to tell that as you start to weed it, and it's very sticky. You want to make sure you're not ripping your glitter iron-on, and being careful as you peel it off, making sure that it is removing, you can see it, revealing the letters. And I'm just kind of with a firm grasp grabbing it and using my weeding tool to help. Here we go. I'm going to get that done, and then there's the eye. And when I get over to the eye, I've got some material here that it did not get cut, and I'm going to go ahead and trim that away because I will be able to use this piece on a different project now. Okay, so I'm going to finish weeding this. There we go. And this part, you can't use it. We're going to throw it away. Okay, but there are inside pieces to these letters. And I'm going to tear that off. Okay, and then here again, I'm also going to trim. Now the transfer tape for the transfer sheet that's on the glitter iron-on is really sticky. Okay, so don't be surprised when you feel how much stickier it is compared to the other one. It's supposed to be like that so it holds on. So I'm cutting my eye off separately, and then I have the word Santa. Okay, so I've got Santa, and I have the eye, and I have my patterned iron-on. All right, so those are the 3 pieces we're using for this project, but that's how you would do that working with iron-on. All right, so that's easy enough. Now we're going to work on our project, and I'm going to get my Easy Press back out, and the Easy Press mat, and of course my shirt that I'm going to be ironing on. And this one, it was all pressed, and then I laid it down, and I know, so I'm going to need to press it again just to make sure I get all the wrinkles out of it. Okay, so I'm going to be turning my Easy Press on. Now, there again, follow the directions in the Cricut Help. If you're using a household iron, I'm going to be showing you using the Easy Press. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on. Now, we're going to be starting with our patterned iron-on. Okay. And the pattern iron-on told me that I need to use, for the Cotton Poly Blend shirt, and I'm using pattern iron-on. So it's telling me I need to turn it on for 340. So I'm going to click the temperature, and I'm going to move the plus button until I get to 340. And then on the timing, I'm going to hit timing because it says I need it for 50 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and increase the time to 50 seconds because it's going to count down for you, which is nice. Okay, so now it's in the process of warming up to that temperature, the 340 temperature. My 50 seconds is set, and all I'm waiting for is for my little Cricut head here that's red to turn green, and then that means my Easy Press is ready. Now the new Easy Press 2s are definitely worth it because they have some extra features that come with them over the original Easy Press. If you have the original, it still works, it's great, but the Easy Press 2 heats up faster. It also has a timer that if you haven't used it in 10 minutes, it shuts it off automatically, which is nice and helpful. Okay, so you just heard that little beep, and now this changed to green, so that means it's ready to go. So I don't have to worry about is it the right temperature or anything like that. It's letting me know that. The other thing about the Easy Press 2 is that it also has it's on the base has been redone, so it sets up higher and it's going to cool down quicker in between, like, because we're going to be changing it between a couple of different temperature settings, and so it will cool off faster that way. Also, it has a USB port here in the back right here that is going to allow us to, if Cricut makes any adjustments to the Easy Press 2 in the future, all we're going to need to do is follow the directions Cricut will provide, and we'll be able to upgrade the software and the firmware for the Easy Press 2. So that to me is a bonus. So I thought that was really cool. So those are some of the things that I like about it. And then of course it comes in 3 sizes. So it comes in this 6x7, it comes in the original size of the 9x9, and it comes in a 12x10. All right, so I'm using the 6x7 because I'm working with a smaller shirt, and I'm just going to iron this, and Cricut recommends that you heat up your surface for about 5 seconds or so to help get that adhesive going on your shirt. Okay, and then I'm going to put my heart about here where I'm going to want to put that on, and I'm just going to show you that we will be laying over the glitter iron on top of the pattern iron on. Okay, and so we're going to have it right there. It's going to go just like that. And you will need a Teflon sheet of some kind. Cricut makes one, or you can use a regular Teflon sheet. And I'm going to be showing you that here in a minute because we're going to take this off. So I've got this set. So this looks good on where I'm going to be placing it onto this shirt. Okay, so I'm good there. I've got this the way I want it. I've got this is set up so it's at 340. So this said that I need to put it on here, so I'm going to put it directly on here, and I'm going to click the green button And then I'm going to really hold with both hands. I'm going to push down fairly firmly. I'm not breaking my wrist or anything. I'm just giving it good even pressure. And while it's doing this, it is actually pushing the heat through the pattern iron-on onto the shirt and then into the Easy Press mat that's underneath it. And that Easy Press mat has material in it that's then pushing that heat back up into the shirt so that you get really good adhesion doing it this way as opposed to having an iron, because with the Easy Press 2, the coil, the heating element is all the way through that bottom plate, and so you get really good overall heat. Okay, so this is a cold peel. So let's talk about what that means. So pattern iron-on is a cold peel. So when you have a cold peel, that means that you need to not take the carrier sheet off of this until this is completely cooled down. So it needs to be completely cool. It needs to be where, like right now, if I'm touching this, my fingers are almost burning because it's still so hot. And so you want to make sure that it is completely cool. So I will, a lot of times will lift it up off the mat, because if you will put your hand on your Easy Press mat, you're going to feel the heat on the back of that, which is great because that means it's really warming up your shirt to make sure that the adhesive sticks really well. I used to just use a board with a towel wrapped around it, which was okay. But since I've been using the Easy Press mats, oh my gosh, it's amazing how much better everything sticks. Haven't had any trouble at all with the mats. So even if you don't have an Easy Press 2 yet, grab one of the mats while they're on sale right now, because they're worth it. They're so worth it for you to work with your projects. Okay, so this is going to take a minute for this to cool down. So okay, so now I've allowed this to cool off. So now when I touch it, it feels completely cool. It's going to come off easily now. So you just don't want to do it while it's hot or even warm to the touch. This is completely cool now. So I'm just going to lift it up and peel it away. And if for some reason it looks like it's lifting off of it, you can lay the liner back down and reheat it for another second or two. But this is completely on here. It looks great. Okay, so now we're going to put our glitter iron on, and you can lay glitter iron on over your patterned iron on just fine. Okay, but you cannot put patterned iron on top of glitter iron on. You can't add anything on top of glitter iron on. Glitter iron on always has to be your top surface, or you have to slice the image out of the glitter iron on and then do an inset, which is a whole different advanced level. So just remember that you cannot put stuff on glitter iron on. But you can put glitter iron on top of other things. Okay, so we're going to lay this here where we think it looks the best. Let me get the eye, and the eye's going to go right here. I'm going to pull Santa down just a little bit. I think I had it so it was like just barely overlapping the edge there. Okay, and then the eye's going to come down here. I may decide to trim the eye up a little bit more just so I can get it closer to where I need it to be. I'm just cutting the carrier sheet a little bit more. Okay, so I'm putting my eye over the A, so it's I Heart Santa. Okay, and we've got the glitter iron on is overlapping the pattern iron on, which we've already removed the carrier sheet off of that. Okay, so to protect this surface, when I go to use heating element, which will be the Easy Press in my case, I need to protect this so it does not get too much heat on it. And how you do that is that you use a Teflon sheet. Cricut makes one, and then you can also get Teflon sheets from other vendors, or from the cooking supply also has them, and they look like this. Okay, so any of these will work as a Teflon sheet. Cricut's is a little bit thicker, but the material is made so it helps heat up your surface. So this is protecting this part where we don't want to melt the pattern, and then I'm going to be applying this over where I see the glitter iron on. Okay, so we need to turn our Easy Press back on, and the setting for that was, I believe, 330, but I'm going to double check. So I'm putting it on a cotton poly shirt. I'm looking at the glitter, and it does say 330 for 30 seconds. So it's going to take it a minute for this to get to that. Once it gets to that, it will come over here, and the red circle will change to green, and then you'll know that it's ready. So it will take a second for it to cool down. Okay, you can even lift it up off of this. Now just be careful because this is still extremely hot. And we'll let that cool down for a minute till it gets to the right temperature. Part of what you need to make sure is that you have this laying over anything where your iron or your Easy Press is going to touch. You want to make sure that you have the Teflon sheet completely covering that part. 334, there we go, 330. Okay, so we're going to hit the green, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it over, because I have my I and the S and the A and the N, and probably, you know, I have most of the lettering covered, but then I'm going to click the green head. I'm going to hold this down. Now don't be surprised when your temperature starts dropping, because you're putting it against this Teflon cover sheet, and so it will adjust, because this is cool to the touch, so it's going to change the temperature a little bit. Okay, so I hit the green button, so it's counting down. I'm applying just normal pressure, just kind of holding it down on here. And it's going to count down for me. I don't even have to worry about it. It's going to count down for me. And then it will beep. Okay, so that's done. And so I have this part done, and now I need to do the other part of the letters. Okay, so I'm going to overlap it slightly, and I'm going to hit the green button again. And it's counting down. Now this will be hot, so be careful, don't burn your fingers on this, because this just had a lot of heat stuck on it. And it's counting it down. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to lift this up, and you're going to notice that your pattern iron on is perfectly fine. Nothing happened to it. It's good to go. Okay, now this is let me make sure I look at that correctly. The glitter vinyl is a warm peel. Okay, so that means that you are able to wait till this cools down, that you can touch it and it's not burning your fingers. I'm going to go ahead and leave my Easy Press on for a minute just to make sure I didn't need to go back and hit this again. But you want to wait till it's cool, it's warm, it's cooled down enough that you can lay your hand on it and you can still feel it's warm, but it's not hot. Like right here, it still feels extremely hot. So I'm not going to peel it off yet. I want to wait till it's down to the point where it's warm to the touch but not burning to the touch. Give that another second or two because it's still feeling pretty warm. Okay, so it's fine now, and I am just going to roll that back, and now my eye is completely down just fine. And now I'm going to do Santa and just peel that right off. Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we've got the glitter Santa, the heart, the eye, and then Cricut recommends that you turn your project inside out. Look how cute those sleeves are. They're like a ruffled sleeve shirt. This is adorable. Anyway, so we're going to turn it inside out. So this is the side that has the vinyl on it. I just want to smooth that out. It has some little fibers on there from the shirt. Okay, so now that it's on here, then it just says to go ahead and do it for 15 seconds. So I'm going to put it over the majority of that and just click down. I can leave it on 330, that's fine. And I'm just going to do it for 15 seconds, and then I'll move it over and do it for 15 seconds on the other half of it rather. Okay, so I'm just going to move it over so that it's covered all the image, and wait for it to count down. Okay, and that, my friends, is as easy as it gets. Now, when you go to wash this, you want to turn this shirt inside out just like that, so that you do not have any issues with the pattern vinyl fading or coming up off your shirt. But this is, let me turn this off now. I'll move that out of the way. But this is our finished iron-on shirt using the pattern iron-on and using the glitter iron-on, and look how cute that is. Oh my gosh, the pattern iron-on just really adds a lot to it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you guys have a lot of fun. Think about putting this on shirts and bags, and you can do iron-on on those canvas shoes, and there's so many things you can put iron-on. And hopefully you picked up some good tips, and I hope you have great success with your project.